Now, having talked about Champaran Satyagraha 1917 in details, the author next moves on to Gandhi's philosophy and his aims in general. Gandhiji removed the cultural and social backwardness in the Champaran. How? Let us see. Gandhiji had a holistic view. He was not just content with only winning the Indigo sharecroppers' fight against the landlords and was not only satisfied by achieving political or economic solution, he wanted to culturally and socially uplift the district of Champaran. He sought to remove the cultural and social backwardness of Champaran. Gandhi wanted to do something to remove the backwardness in the villages of Champaran. Education, health, sanitation should be improved. Now, what did Gandhi do to improve the social and cultural backgrounds of Champaran? Let's see point by point. So, the first way to reform the society of Champaran was to give them educational facilities. Gandhiji requested two of Gandhi's disciples, the followers Mahadev Desai and Narhari Parikh, and their wives to come to Champaran to teach the villages. They agreed to volunteer Gandhiji. Several more came from Bombay, Pune, and other distant part of the land. Devdas, Gandhi's youngest son, arrived from the ashram, and Gandhi's wife, Kasturbai, had joined the cause. Primary schools were opened in 6 villages. Kasturbai taught the ashram rules on personal cleanliness and community sanitation. That is also another point that we can highlight. Health conditions were miserable in Champaran. Gandhi also improved the health services of Champaran. A doctor served the people for 6 months. Lack of resources made him to stick to 3 medicines: castor oil, quinine, quinine and sulfur ointment. Anybody who showed a coat tongue was given a dose of castor oil. Anybody with malaria fever received quinine plus castor oil. Anybody with skin eruption received ointment plus castor oil. So this is the thing. These are the health care that was provided in Champaran during that time. Gandhiji did not overlook any of the problem of Champaran, thanks to his great concern for the common people. He noticed the filthy clothes worn by women and appointed Kasturbai to look into the matter. He requested his wife to talk to the women. She found that women in Champaran were so poor that they could not afford a second sari or a cupboard to put their clothes in. During his long stay in Champaran and his zeal to transform the society at Champaran, Gandhi did not ignore his responsibility towards the ashram. He kept himself updated about the daily activities at the ashram. He sent regular instructions by mail and asked for financial accounts. Once he wrote to the locals that it was the time to dig new lanterns as the old one had started sorry to dig new latrines as the old ones had started giving foul smell. The Champaran episode was a turning point. As I had told you, turning point is from where our life completely changes, and the Champaran episode was a turning point in Gandhi's life. What I did, he explained, was an ordinary thing. I declared that the British could not order me about in my own country. Instruction, orders, or commands. The episode at Champaran made Gandhi fully aware of the oppressive mechanism of British rulers. He got the idea of civil disobedience movement and Quit India movement from Champaran. The fight for Indian independence from the British rule had its roots in the movement at Champaran. The fight for Indian independence rule The fight for the Indian independence from the British rule had a great significance in Indian history. He said that he had done only an ordinary thing. He had put his point across that the Britishers could not order him in his own country. He was not an outsider. The Britishers were the outsider, and that's why they had to leave Champaran. He was determined not to let himself be dominated in his own country or let his countrymen suffer at their hands. Hence, he termed the uprising at Champaran the turning point in his life. Gandhiji was not a rebel without a cause. The aim of conducting the movement at Champaran was to end the misery of large number of peasants. He was committed in solving the real life problems of the common people of India. He did not struggle for a non realistic, abstract philosophy that had little relevance in everyday life. He was not devoted to unreal situation. He was devoted to improve living condition of human beings. This was the typical Gandhi pattern. Gandhi's politics was linked to the problem of the people that was faced every day in life. Gandhi tried to make India a free India, which was self sufficient. So we get four messages. First, liberation from fear. Second, gathering courage. Third, cleanliness and sanitation. Fourth, becoming self reliant. Charles Andrews, an English pacifist who was a peacemaker who did not believe in violence and a strong follower of Gandhiji, although he was a Britisher, visited Gandhi in Champaran before going on a tour of duty to the Fiji island. Gandhi's lawyer friend wanted Andrews to stay at the Champaran and help them, but Gandhi vehemently, strongly opposed and declined the offer of including an Englishman in the movement of the Champaran. He said that they did not need the help of Britishers as it showed a lack of trust in their own abilities and mental strength. So he refused to include this Britisher to help them. He did not want to use an Englishman as a pawn to win against the British. He asked them not to seek any help from Mr. Andrews as he was an Englishman. He believed in self reliance to win a just cause. He taught them to be self sufficient and therefore the people must depend on themselves to win a fight. Rajendra Prasad later on stated that Gandhi had read their thoughts and his reply served as a lesson of self sufficiency for them. Being self reliant and free, Indian independence, and helping the peasants, all these acts of Gandhi were interconnected. Helping the sharecroppers stemmed from his personal belief of self reliant. He wished the fearful and underconfident poor people of India would find voice. A few qualities we learned from Gandhi through this movement at Champaran are nonviolence, self reliance, humility, humanitarian approach, his principle of satyagraha or commitment to truth, his strategies of civil disobedience and non cooperation, etc. His simple and humble life, his fellow feelings, and his commitment towards solving practical problems of the common people earned him widespread respect and admiration. The message conveyed through this lesson is the message of being patient and determined to succeed, help to overcome any trouble. This lesson gives the message of self reliant, independent instead of relying on others. The contribution of common people like Professor Malkani, Professor Kriplani displayed the courage of ordinary citizens who sheltered Gandhi in his own house for 2 days at the risk of his job and their dissatisfaction with the foreign rules. Sharecroppers from Champaran, the vast multitude of people gathered around the court, the Muzaffarpur lawyers also helped Gandhi in the movement. So, with this, I hope you have understood the chapter. Thank you.